All right, so let me minimize this. Get signed into here. Now, there are a couple things I'm going to touch base with you guys on the assemblies. One of the things I want to touch base with you guys about is understanding that when you go to create an assembly, sometimes things are not going to go as smooth as you would hope they would. I'm going to try to show you a couple of tricks that you can do to try to alleviate those problems. But I can't guarantee that it's going to solve everybody's problem, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? All right. So let me go through, get this loaded here. We're good. All right. So I've got all my parts created. I've got all my working drawings created for this project. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new assembly so that we can all walk through it kind of together. I want everybody's eyes up here. I don't want them working on anything because you're going to lose out. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to insert all my parts. Bracket, bushing, post, shaft, wheel. Mine is not showing up with the snap ring, the external snap ring or external ring, retaining ring. So I'm going to just grab it from here. Green check mark it. You're going to notice all the parts are completely jammed up onto each other. Left click, hold, move them out of the way. You'll notice that my parts have colors to them. They also have specific weights to them, meaning they have a material that's been assigned to them. Polyurethane, steel, whatever this is. I think these are carbon steel. This is brass, if I remember right. Okay. And then there should be another. Am I missing the shaft? And then put the shaft in there. There we go. All right. When we do this assembly, we have to think of it as a part that you would actually put together in real life. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it so that this bushing can go inside this wheel first thing. I'm going to use the fasten mate. That's pretty much the only tool that we are going to use for this assembly. Fasten mate. What I want to do is I want to pick the surface that I want the object to be mated to or in line with. Paying attention to the little widget, the alignment widget, I want the blue line to run lengthwise of the object. Okay? So I'm going to select this. I'm then going to come over to my actual wheel itself, and I'm going to select basically the same thing. I just want to make sure that I am now selecting the end center point. Place it. It now locks it in nicely. Green check mark it. I'm going to put it in front view. Just make sure that the part's not hanging out the back. I'm going to rotate it a little bit just to make sure that the part is sitting flush the way it's supposed to. I'm all happy with it. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to group those two parts together. Now, we did some grouping before. Here's the group icon. I am going to get out of the command. I'm going to select the items, and then I'm going to use the group command. You're going to notice it's going to go red over here. Don't worry about it. The grouping command still is working for us. Okay. But what ends up happening is if we don't use group, for whatever reason, it doesn't happen to everybody, when you go to fasten your parts, sometimes you will try to take those two fastened parts and bring them into another part to fasten it. It will mess the whole thing up. If you group everything, then it stays together. I don't know why it works one way and it doesn't work the other way, but it is what it is. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I am going to get it so that I have the wheel and this bracket aligned to each other. I'm going to use the inside edge of my bracket, and I'm going to use the center of the hole to align my wheel. So again, fasten. I'm going to try to keep things in the same orientation. Remember, inside of the wheel, or excuse me, inside the bracket, center, rotate it, and then again, I'm picking the center. I'm going to adjust it to the front. What are you going to notice is my problem? Is the wheel sitting perfectly centered? No, it's like jammed against the one side, right? In real life, it could probably float a little bit. In real life, there will probably be a provision that's made where the center of the wheel is bumped out just a little bit to take care of that problem. But what we're going to do is we are going to use something called offset. And you'll notice we have our z-axis running left to right. We're going to mess with our z-axis right here. I know the distance between the inside of the bracket to the other side of the bracket is 30 millimeters. I know that my tire or my wheel is 28. 28 from 30 is 2. I divide that in half. That way I've got equal spacing on both sides. Is going to be what? Okay. If the part moves the wrong direction, okay, notice that it moved my bracket rather than my wheel. I'm going to try changing it from a solid 1 to a -1. Go ahead and green check mark both of them. What should be my next step? Should I group? Or should I just start doing another fasten? Group it. That way you lock everything together again. Again, we don't care if it's throwing a little red light over here. If it bothers you, just turn it off. Next, I am going to go ahead and place, let's do the hard part next. We're going to take this shaft here, again, using the fasten tool. I'm going to pick the back surface of what I would call the retainer. So I'm going to pick that, making sure that it's also grabbing the center of the circle. Come over here, rotate myself around, finding the true center of the spot. If you do everything correct, your pin will line right up. If for some reason, if you look at my clip, let's say my clip was sitting in the wrong orientation. Well, I could go back to the sketch and I could change the original work plane that it started on. And that could change the way the object is. That's the way I would suggest you do it. But if you're afraid it's going to cause too many problems for you, you can select on the object and then you'll see this UCS come up. And this is a UCS that only modifies this given part. Let's say I want to rotate this object, or let's say I want to rotate it so that instead of it standing up, I want to get it so that it's laying down. What I can do is I can click on this little wheel, and you'll notice that I can now rotate my object. You are only going to rotate it in increments of 90. Okay? So you will notice I now have my object laying flat. Do I want it this way? No. But can I show it to you? Yes. Did I lose the part? Yes. Okay. Now, let's say I need to get... that's not what I want. I want to get this pin... Excuse me, this pin lined up to this clip. First thing I need to do before all heck breaks loose is going to be to group all those items. I don't want it to mess up. For this clip, this is super easy. It looks like it'd be a really complex part to figure out, but all we're going to do is we're going to go fasten mate. I'm going to pick on one of these curved, flat inside edges. Pick on that, come over here, and I'm just going to simply pick on the same curved, flat area on that shaft. You'll notice part moves over right away. It sits in the correct location instantaneously. Notice it even spaces it so that it is perfectly centered. Okay, nothing to it. Now, again, I'm going to group those, and then I can now put the last part on, which is going to be the shaft. So for the shaft, again, fasten, choose this circle right here, like the double face of that circle. Make sure it's picking the center. And then we are going to choose top of our bracket, center of the hole. I must not have clicked on that part. If we did it all right, it's going to line up perfectly. Does it look like we lined it up good? Close it out. For the heck of it, group it. All right, there's your assembly. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. All right, I'm going to stop the video there.